Hello Israel, it's Red Planet again, coming to you with another video. Today we're going to talk about pole shift. Let's get into it, Israel.
Interesting. Yesterday the seismic uptick began with the 7-pointer in Central America, and today we report the rampant solar activity. As October 14th became October 15th, magnetic fields began snapping just behind the
Even though this happened in October 15, 2014, our magnetic field is still weakening. As time goes on, it weakens and weakens. What NASA is fearing is that when the sun has a solar flare, they're feared that by our magnetic field constantly weakening, that it may hit the Earth and cause all kinds of mayhem, like power outage. Would knock out our power, so we knock out the power grid, all electronics, cell phones, TVs, radios, gas station pumps, and so we would go in complete darkness, complete darkness. And you have to think, Israel, a lot of people can't deal with that, being in complete darkness and nothing working. No cell phones, no telephones, no, like I said, no pumps, because it's going to knock the power grid out. Once the power grid get out, it takes years for them to repair it, especially if it's worldwide. And this is their biggest fear.
eastern limb, resulting in a tremendous solar eruption that produced a radio blackout at Earth, significant upper atmosphere ionization, lasting for hours, and from which the fields have still not fully calmed. It only reached M2, but the long duration produced one of the most spectacular CMEs you can see on SOHO. And if you'll recall, this is right as Mercury swings.
So as the sun constantly give out solar flares, and it hits our planet, because the magnetic field is steady weakening, it can cause damage here down up on Earth, and like I said, knock out pretty much everything. Definitely gonna do damage to our grid, which means that'll leave us in absolute darkness.
In to kick off 10 days of highly significant planetary geometry. In case you couldn't tell from SOHO, this eruption was indeed not Earth-directed. That is confirmed by our Enlil spiral. It was, however, the first point of the uptick we've now discussed for more than 2 weeks. The sunspots themselves are ramping quickly as well. It actually looked like a bit more peppering last night, but we still almost doubled our sunspot count from yesterday, and we're eyes open there. Also, it appears that a solar sector boundary crossing was upstaged last night by a CME impact, quickly ramping solar wind speed above 500 kilometers per second and producing.
So if we have a pole shift and the Earth flips the Earth flips, then we're gonna it will go into pole shift, or will go north and south. That's gonna also may cause problems, especially for life of God's creatures. It's definitely gonna cause problems, because that's what they depend on for their navigation, to fly and get around. I don't know what it's going to affect, and how pole shift is going to affect the Earth and us. I might do another video on that, telling us how it's going to affect us, and what damage it's going to do to the Earth. Stay tuned for that, Israel.
Producing a multi-hour low-level geomagnetic storm. On top of all of that, left side, dark. Next incoming coronal hole. Now, are you ready for this? The big news today is about Earth's magnetic field. Confirmation of the worst kind. First, the unstable magnetic field at Earth right now is precisely the foretelling of a full magnetic reversal. A new study has come out from the top of the top experts in this field, stating that the reversal happens faster than they predicted. In fact, the full flip could take place within a human lifetime. This is more than 10 times faster than even the shortest previous expectations in our
So when the Most High God of Israel come to the Mount of Olives, and his foot lands on the Mount of Olives, there's going to be a pole shift, and the earth is going to swing north and south. So that is going to happen.
magnetosphere is weakening 10 times faster than what normal fluctuations should indicate. The poles are already moving. They began around 1900, so how far along are we? Folks, this requires more depth, so I'm putting together a video on the details as fast as I can, and you need to catch up on the backstory if you haven't. At very least, watch Magnetic Field in Trouble. It is linked right below the video, or you can Google it. It's also part of our valuable info playlist, also found below this video and on our channel page. This is the single most important part of the global change story right now, and this news isn't exactly good. Moving on. Nobody at this channel should be surprised at the latest findings surrounding Mars. Chemically, I frankly will discount most everything pre-Siding Spring, as that comet may change the game when it passes by on the 19th. The September State of the Climate Report is out and linked for you below. Shows maximum temps didn't set the world on fire, literally or figuratively, but those minimum temperatures did not dip down very low at all. The larger scale zone readings show about the same pattern there. This is their one-year version of the charts. You can see cold's domination the past 12 months. Speaking of which, freak snowstorm in Australia complemented by a damaging storm to the warmer portions near Sydney. 8 inches of snow in the mountains, flash flooding in downtown, wild lightning, all due to that low right there, which is moving on today, but not before leaving some parting gifts at the coastline. Also have some post-analysis of the Indian cyclone. Good Earth spot shot there, linked for you below. Anna is still strengthening in the Central Pacific and still heading right at Hawaii. Eyes open there. Also got another Uyen candidate forming in the Far East Pacific. Expect formation in a day or two. Meanwhile, the low has crept all the way to the east coast of the U.S. It poured on the Mobile Observatory pretty much all night. That's going to be the issue today for the convergence area. Flash flooding. Also rain and snow out west on the moisture flow off the low stuck beneath Alaska. 3 lows regulating widespread rainfall in Europe, the worst of it off the low from the Atlantic. But the high temperature and moisture that is coming from the south onto these portions of land have the strongest thunderstorm watches tonight. As you watch shots of the M-flare, please get caught up on our magnetic situation if you have not done so. I'll do my best to get back to you tonight with an update on what this all means for us. Eyes open. No fear. It's 6:05 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.